morning and welcome to Monday Morning Coffee Chat. Our co-host this morning is going to be the lovely Valorie, and I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us, especially on a holiday. We were just discussing that it is a holiday today. And I would like to remind everybody to keep yourself muted unless you have something to say, and then unmute yourself. We do this so that we can get a good recording of this, and we can share the clips that we get off of it with Valorie so that she can promote herself and use those again in her business as well. But if somebody were to say cough during the meeting, then the video will go off of Valorie and onto them. And right in the middle of when she's saying something important, I know it. So if you'll please mute yourself unless you have something to speak or she opens the floor and asks for questions. But Val, let's talk about how do we meet, Val? I was thinking about that. I don't know how we met.
I think we met on Gene Kuhn's 5 a.m. call.
Oh,
Early bird gets the worm.
yeah, this is true. So probably that is where we met. I would believe that's probably right. I also see you on Lynn's, and on your networking also. So make sure that you drop the link for your networking in the chat when you get a second. Also, Valorie, but will you go ahead and start by telling us a little bit about your business? Tell us the story of how you got into this. And then I also want you to tell us something personable that'll make you relatable to us.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this for people, Coleen. Ladies and gentlemen, or ladies, I just want to really commend Coleen for what she does. She's just such a giving soul, very generous, very generous with her time and her skill. And we are all blessed with Coleen. And thank you so much. And thank you for having me today. So, yeah, I had a blonde moment when I was teaching elementary school years ago, probably decades ago. Uh, Here I was I'm an artist, right? I paint pictures and I play the piano. And I had at that time little to no interest in money or in taking care of money. I had enough to pay the bills and to go play a little bit. And that was all I cared about, and to feed my family. But so one day, one morning at school, before school started, the principal came on the intercom and said, "There will be a gentleman here today in the faculty room that is providing his services for teachers for investing. And any of you who want to come around and check him out, feel free." And guess what? I did not. I did not. I had no interest in that whatsoever. And I just thought, hey, I can pay the bills, and I'm not late with them, and I'm good. I am good. And so that is why, ladies, that 80% of Americans are dying in poverty, because they're having that same mentality that I had that morning. And I said, I'm not doing that. I don't have time. I got to pick my kids up at daycare and on and on. Change a bulletin board and grade some math tests. Teachers are busy, very, very busy. So I didn't go. I didn't even appear in the faculty room that day because I didn't want him to see me. And so instead, after school, about 15 minutes after the bell rang, there was a knock at my classroom door. And there was the guy. There was the financial person. And so I just thought to myself, oh shit, I can run, but I can't hide. So here he is. And he said, I am so and so, and I'm here to help teachers with investing. And would I have a few minutes? Something hit me on the temple right here really hard. I think it was divine intervention or something. And I said, sure, come on in. So we sat down, and he was gentle, he was professional, he was sweet. He started asking me some questions. And this whole time, up until now, which I was probably in my mid to late 30s at the time, with a college degree and a master's degree, I thought I was doing well with money because I could afford to pay for what I was doing. Well, when he got through questioning me, I learned I was only getting about a C minus in money management. And here's why. We were doing two things with our money. We were making money and spending money, period. And had no desire, no clue, no inkling of needing to do anything else. So he asked me some more questions and asked if he could do a financial needs analysis on me. And for some reason, I was liking the guy. I was really kind of liking him, and I was almost eating out of his hand. And so he did this financial needs analysis on me. He collected what our income was, and he collected what our bills are, and he did a little spin. He calculated it up, and he said, Valorie, you have a few extra $100 that you could use to pay yourself first. Pay myself first? What is that? I had no idea what pay yourself first even meant. So I was just trying to put two and two together in my head a little bit. And I said, no, sir, we don't. We don't have that. We're pretty much paycheck to paycheck. And he said, well, that money must be sneaking out your back door or someplace. It's going someplace that you don't know about that's not serving you. Well, he put some pain on the table on me right there. That got my attention. And I thought, how stupid, how foolish, how ignorant can I be here? And I'm thinking, this is what I'm doing to my children. That hit home. So he said, if I could show you something that is something you could do that will meet that goal for you, would you like to see it? I said, sure, show it to me. He did. Long story short, he got me on a plan. I would never have been that person to go downtown and set something up at Edward Jones. I didn't think I could afford it. I thought that was for so-called rich people. And he told me this. What a basic concept, he said, but he told me people don't get rich by how much they make. They get rich by how much they save. So that qualified me at that point. Even though I was a lowly teacher earning a low salary with no room for any more, he taught me that I could get rich by how much I save. I went, wow, what a concept. Who knew? So the reason 80% of people are dying in poverty is because they were like me. They didn't learn this stuff either at school or at home. And thank God this man came around. He changed our life. He did. We built wealth. We built wealth on my husband's little painting contracting salary and my little teaching salary. I was making $45,000 a year at the time with a master's degree. He
That's
changed,
amazing. Yeah.
he changed us. And so those people that are dying in poverty are most likely driving very expensive vehicles and living in high-end neighborhoods, and they are underwater in debt. We don't have debt. We ditched our debt decades ago. We built our wealth.
I love that, Val. And that reminds me of as a child going to the grocery store with my mom, and we went to the Publix. I was in South Florida I know we have some people here from South Florida. And the gentleman that was ahead of us was buying all the best food. Like he was buying cereal in boxes, and he had steak, and he had all the junk food. He had Doritos, all the stuff we weren't allowed to have, right? And I didn't say anything, but it was apparent to my mother that I was enamored and I was watching. And then he went outside and we followed him out. And he had stopped at the gumball machine and got things for his kid. We're never allowed to do that. And then went out and got in his car, and he got in the nicest car. And I was just like, and then we went over and got my mom's Chrysler New Yorker that was a hand-me-down from her parents, and it was fine. But, when you're a kid and they're getting a really nice car, and my mom said, you know what, I want to show you something, sis. You like what they bought at the grocery store? And I'm like, I do. Yeah, why don't we ever buy like that? She says, I'm going to show you why we don't buy like that. She says, "Look, you like his car?" And I'm like, I do. It's really nice. Like, why don't we have cars like that? She's like, well, it's just about the choices and decisions you make in life. She says, let's see where they go. And so we followed them down to the hood. to their dilapidated clapboard house. And my mom says, "Do you like their house?" And I said, "No, I don't. Why are we here in this neighborhood?" And she said, "You're welcome. I made a different choice." And so, yeah, you eat cereal out of bag. We don't buy junk food. You drink water. We don't buy juice at our home, but you live in a really nice home. And it's a difference of choices, right? And we all have those choices. So, Val, tell us something personal, one or two things about you that'll really help us see you besides being a teacher. Tell us something about your family, something you like to do for fun.
We have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren and another one on the way. One thing we like to do for fun now is my husband and I just bought a yacht. We paid cash for it. So we also, like your mother, Colleen, we lived very frugally after the dude after school saved me, and we took care of our money. And so we pay cash for everything, our cars, our real estate, our boat. And so we're looking really, really forward to enjoying the boat. A 39-foot used yacht that we're keeping in a marina. But that's kind of our life so far, and we can't wait to get the kids on the boat.
Yeah, and so I think along those lines is it's about balance. Life's about balance. And I remember my dad telling me when my kids were little, I wanted to get a housekeeper, and I was like, I just can't afford a housekeeper, Dad, you know. And he says, I think you have a leak in your budget, dear daughter, he says. And I'm like, I don't think so. He says, I want you to go back through your bank statements and see how many times you walked in to a gas station. And if you would not walk into a gas station anymore, you could have a house cleaner. And I'm like, yeah, right. I mean, because I'm spending 2, 5, 10 bucks at the gas station. How's that going to add up? Well, let me tell you how it added up. Added up to about $400 a month. And I soon had a housekeeper. And I never stopped. I never went in the station again. I just paid at the pump. And
Mhm.
so it really, when you know how to look at the different things that you're spending money on and really analyze them, then it's like, holy cow, you know? And there are a lot of different ways of doing that. When we take a cow to get slaughtered, we pay $1,300 to get it slaughtered. Well, none of you want to go to the grocery store and spend $1,300, but I paid $6 a ribeye and
It's
$6 a
even
pound of beef.
higher now. It's even higher
So
now.
but that's what I pay when I take it to when I take it to market and get it slaughtered, as opposed to buying it for 20 something in the grocery store, right? So, Valorie, when you're saying that 80% of Americans die in poverty, for entrepreneurs, which all of us here are entrepreneurs, but for those of us who are juggling between business reinvestment with personal wealth building, what's the first financial decision that we should make differently starting today?
To get with a professional, talk to someone. Don't just listen to locker room talk. Don't listen to someone's dad down the street. Don't listen to a cousin or a friend and take their advice. You need to speak to a professional, and you need to do it as soon as possible, because procrastination is the biggest wealth building enemy. Procrastination is the biggest enemy
Ooh.
to building wealth. People don't get around to it. People put it off. People think they can't afford it. They're fooling themselves, and they're playing a fool's game by procrastinating. And just reach out and find somebody that you know, like, and trust, or get a referral from someone you know, like, and trust, and get in a conversation like I did with my guy after school. I'm going to show you all something. Speaking of procrastination, I'm going to show you a very powerful document here. And let me just quickly grab it. I wanted to have it ready, and for some reason it didn't appear. So I'm going to just quickly do this. It's called The Cost of Waiting, and it's right here. Okay, and now I'll hit share. This shows an example of 2 people, one who got right with the program and one who waited.
There we go.
So, do you see it,
I
ladies?
do. And so the two people is going to be your friend and you.
Yes. So
Okay.
you're and both of them start at the age of 24, or the friend did. She started at the age of 24. She decided to commit $2,000 a year to start saving, which is $167 a month.
Okay, so that's roughly gonna be 41.75 a week, right?
Right.
So is
if
that
it's
one, I think we don't have Uber Eats, but that's like one eat out, right?
right, right.
Everybody?
Or one streaming or one subscription or one telephone bill where you could save literally a lot of money on a telephone bill if you switch providers.
Okay, so I want everybody that's in this Zoom right now to go into the chat, and I want you to drop one thing that you could do, that cost you 41.75 a week, that you could get rid of. So think about while we're doing this and drop that in the chat. I'm just super interested to see where that is for everybody. Okay, go ahead, Val. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, it's all good. Okay, so then you, the procrastinator or the one who wants to live a little, live it up while you're young, say, okay, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and I'll catch up with you. Okay, now I want you all to see what it takes to catch up. So person number one here does $45 a week and she's doing $2,000 a year. After 6 years, she quits. She knows that all of this money going into here, the early money is what does the best work in compounding interest. It does the hardest and most effective work when it's getting in there and doing its thing. So person number two waits. Now, person number one, her total investment, if you do the math quickly, is $12,000 over 6 years. And age 65, ladies, what's her net worth? Do you
Yeah,
see that?
1,075,968.
Yeah, yeah. 1,075,000. Okay, person number two dilly-dallies around and decides she's going to wait, and she doesn't do it for 6 years. She's going to catch up. She's going to so-called catch up. Look what she has to do in order to realize the same amount of money at the same age as her friend. Look how many years this is. Look how much money. Look how much more expensive it is to wait. If you do the math, it's,
Because interest isn't compounding. And this is interesting because I was speaking with someone the other day who has some money set aside to build a house, but they don't quite have enough. And so they are sitting with their money in their bank account while they shop for a cheaper house. And they are sitting on over 200,000 sitting in a bank account. And I said to them, why don't you go invest that in, I just did some numbers for them. I picked a market. I'm like, what would you ever be interested in investing in? And they chose gold and silver. And I said, well, let's just pick one. So I said, why don't you go invest that in gold and let it sit there till you decide what you want to do. But maybe what will happen instead is by the time you decide, you'll actually have the money you need. And they were like, that's so weird. And I was like, no, really, let's just pretend like you did. So we drew up a spreadsheet, and 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, not 2 years, not 2 months, 2 weeks later, what they had would have increased by $15,000.
That's another part of our education piece that we do.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money to me to sneeze at when your money is sitting in your bank account. And granted, we're not sitting around with 200,000 in our bank accounts, but let's do it on a smaller scale. Maybe it's only whatever, maybe it's $1,000 and you make 90 on it in a week or 2 weeks. And then leave it in there and let it keep rolling, let that keep accumulating. And then as you need it, I've always been advised to just pull out any that's above what you invested, your initial investment, if you need to pull it out. But that's a whole new
So
discussion.
here's an interesting concept that lending institutions use and banks and credit unions, etc. Raise your hand if you've heard of the rule of 72. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, about half of you. Okay, so the rule of 72 is this, and if you have something to write with and you're taking notes, this is a good thing to take down. The rule of 72. It's kind of this magic number. If you find a place to put your money to invest and they're paying you 2% interest, you will wait 36 years for your money to double. This goes along with what you're saying, Colleen.
Mm-hmm.
Shop around a little bit and find a better interest rate, double the interest rate, and you're earning 4% interest. You cut your waiting years in half, down to 18 years. That's faster. That's better. Better yet, triple your interest rate to 6%, and you're only going to wait 12 years for your money to double, 1/3 the time. So it pays to shop around on where you're putting your money, number one. Number two, a regular conventional savings account at the bank pays less than 1% interest, less than one. So if you're using that system, you're going to wait 72 years to double your money. Ouch. Does anyone know why the bank pays less than 1% interest?
I have no idea.
The bank is in the money business. They sell money. That's what they do. They don't pay us handsomely because they use our money to loan out to other people that are walking through the doors of the bank applying for a loan. That's why. So that's why you should only have enough money in the bank just for an emergency fund to live off of for 3 to 6 months. And then your other money needs to grow, go and grow someplace in a pot with good soil and sunshine and water and miracle grow. And so that's part of what I do professionally is I show the places that the money can be put for you to build wealth. And not all eggs should go in one basket. So that's another concept.
Yeah, I love that too. And you're pretty generous because we only ever keep 1 month. But I have spending habits, so let's just be honest. We only put 1 month of bill money in the bank at a time because I'll just keep spending. And so for us, that's what's worked is to keep it out of reach. And it's funny because I had my son come and need to borrow some money. And I said, "Oh, I can't. I have $42." And he's like, "Mom, you don't have $42. You have a lot more than that." And I'm like, "No, I have $42 to last me the next 6 days of the month." And so, "No, I have $42." And he's like, "Mom, go get some cash you have set aside." And I'm like, "No, I don't, I can't do that. I have to live in a budget." And so I don't have that option. And it just totally blew his mind that I wouldn't do that for him. But the thing is that I always put X amount in and then make sure I live in that. I see Shine had a question. I think it was Shine. Go
It's
ahead,
nice to
Amy.
meet you, Shine. You're a new face.
Hey, nice to meet you. Thank you for this information. Thank you for having me. Um, so Valorie, you are an investment professional at this point. What does SMD stand for?
Uh, Senior Marketing Director. I work in
Okay.
a company, and that's my title, Senior Marketing Director. So I build a team and I train my team too. So I not only train regular citizens, I also train my team. I'm still teaching, whether I
Right.
simply can't get it out of my system.
I don't have my MAED after my name like I usually do. I have a Master of Arts in Education as well. So once a teacher, always a teacher. Yeah. And I did the same thing as you did. I met with the guy after work and was able to buy $723,000 house at the age of 32 instead
Yes.
of renting.
To the
And
guy.
so it does work. Capitalized interest is amazing. Colleen, my question for you is where do you invest your intermediate funds? I operate on a cash flow basis like you do, Valorie. I pay cash for everything. And if I can't, then I don't buy it. I wait.
Right. And I do
Um,
the same thing. We only pay cash for everything. And
it
it's
feels good. I mean,
it
if you
does feel good, but
I have done it both ways. It feels good to wait and just pay cash and know you have nothing owed to anybody, doesn't it?
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for us, gold and silver has always been the way to invest. And
Mhm.
it's just always been a win for us. Now we stay home a lot and we find that that saves a lot of money. And this weekend, funny enough, we left the house and I told my husband, "Boy, we got to quit doing that." Most people leave the house and go to Walmart. Why can't we figure that out? No, we went furniture shopping and spent $10,000. I'm like, that was a fun 2 hours. Like, wow. So, but we can do that because we don't go do the other things. You know, we don't go on cruises, we don't take elaborate vacations, we don't dine out, we don't all of the things. So we're able to nick we nickel and dime to buy the big stuff that we want and to pay cash for it. And my kids would tease me when I was raising them. I would go back into Walmart and get 27 cents back from a gallon of milk if they overcharged me so that I could go buy my $800 purse I want.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I literally watch every dime really closely. And to the point where, I mean, it drives one of my girlfriends crazy because I'll go in somewhere. I'm like, well, wait, no, I want you to stack these coupons because then I'm saving $75. She's like, for the people that don't have to worry about $75, and here you are doing this. But I am so tight on every aspect of finances, and yet the world could come to an end and we would be fine because everything we have is paid for. And when I was raising kids, it's hard then. It's hard when you have little ones and you want to do all the things, right? And so we found ways in our budget to make things make do. And so besides hand-me-downs, things like that, every fall we had 7 kids' birthdays. We had our anniversary, we had Christmas, we had Halloween, Thanksgiving, and we did a great big huge Halloween party. And I never wanted to ask my husband for a dime. And so what we did was we bottled our food, preserved food all spring and summer. And then come fall, I would make bread and we would eat beans. And let me tell you all the different ways you can eat beans because I could take a dollar bag of beans and they're probably $2 now. But at the time, I could take a dollar bag of beans and make 7 meals with it. And so instead of asking my husband for more money for birthdays, for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, Halloween, all of those things, I would just use my grocery money to pay for those things and turn my groceries. I went from buying groceries to just eating homemade bread. We would have quick oats and things like that that we had raised. I would have my kids go help me get them out of the combine, actually, from my father-in-law. And then we would have beans. We had beans in so many different ways and just really cut down on our food budget, cut down to nothing, so that we could afford the other things. And so there's always room to cut down in your budget. If you look at it, there's room to cut down. It may be uncomfortable, but I promise you it is only uncomfortable at first.
And you're a walking example, Colleen. Thank you for sharing that. My challenge to everyone is to know how to learn to love that, to learn to love to be frugal. It's going to pay major dividends in the long run. It really is. And if you have children, it's one of the greatest things you can teach your kids by not only articulating it, but actually doing it so that when the expensive stuff comes up, you have the means to do it. And you've
Ooh.
had the means to do it.
I'm glad you brought that up, Valerie. So one of the things we did with our kids is we had some land. And so we told each of our kids that we would give them an acre of land and they could build a house on it, but they could not go in debt to do it. Now, we have very different children. They're all very unique. I have one daughter that was sitting there with 100 grand in the bank and wouldn't even start or pick a piece of land out of 63 acres. Okay. I have another daughter who was living on 17,000 a year, her husband and a child. And they spent all their time clearing woods off of a piece of property they wanted to build a house on. I have another son who just couldn't even see that that was possible. And so he just went and rented somewhere. Now, the daughter who started clearing, who was making the very least amount of money, she was making a fourth of what the other kids were making. It's now 8 years later. Her home is almost complete. She has a beautiful 1,700 square foot home. They are lacking putting the brick on the outside of it. Everything else is completely paid for. And they've paid for it as they went. And they've gone without. And they're going to be 28 years old and 29 years old and no house payment the rest of their life. And so, as a reward, we gave them 11 acres instead of one. And my other daughter took her $100,000 and went and put it down on a house in town. And she now owes 200,000 on a house. And they have to work every day the next 30 years to pay for their house. My son also
And pay interest on that house.
Yeah, absolutely. And my daughter's in a position where if something happened and her husband couldn't work, they would be fine. When they built their house, they set it up with solar and they set it up with wood burning heat, the same as we have done here in our home, so that if something happened, and they don't have, we're very rural, so we don't have trash bills. We do have power, we do have internet and homeowners insurance, but they just literally were so frugal, and now their house is paid for. Now my other kids are like, wait a second, what? And we're like, it's probably a better way. And it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes, but it's well worth it. Now they both drive. He's driving the Forerunner he started out with when he was 16. And she is driving a Ford Explorer that we gave her probably 10 years ago that was a hand-me-down through my husband's business even. I mean, the thing is about duct taped together. But pretty soon their house will be finished, and then they'll start saving money to buy a new vehicle for her. And then they'll buy one for him. But it is possible when you really apply yourself and learn. Education is huge. You have to learn where to put your money. You have to find the leaks, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Brutally honest with yourself. If your work stopped tomorrow, where would you be in your life, and what would you be able to do?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. And you also need to remember the concept of being on the airplane, and if something starts happening, you have to put the mask over yourself first in order to be able to serve others. And in this sense, in this case, putting the mask over yourself first shakes down to get the education you need to start investing. No matter how small, no matter how meager, just start. Just start. If you don't start, you won't start. And if you won't start, you won't start. And then something else will come up. And again, you will not start. And it always happens. It always happens. There's always going to be a blockade or a barrier or a diversion where maybe somebody invited you to a concert or whatever it was, you won't start. And if you don't start, that's like not eating good food. That's like not taking care of yourself. I'll just say this. Money isn't everything, but it's right up there with oxygen. We have to have it. We have to have it, and we have to have it now. So part of the problem with the 80% dying in poverty is this. Americans know much more about borrowing than they do about saving. Why is that? I just want you to think about that for a moment.
You
Why
know, isn't that what
is-
we're taught in school, though? I mean, we're taught how to
if
take,
we're
they
taught,
literally sit
if
you
we
down
are
in high
taught,
school. Well, they sit you down in high school and they teach you how to fill out those student loan applications.
if we're taught, I think it depends on the high school.
Well, I don't know any high school that doesn't help you fill out your student loan applications. They all will help you get in debt.
Oh yeah,
Will not
yeah,
help explain it to you.
uh-huh.
Now,
That's
I
right.
will say that I had a problem when I first started, when we did this, after I looked at my budget and found the gas station leak, which was kind of like, wow. I decided to kind of make a game of it and see where else we could save money and look at our budget, really analyze things and narrow things down and try to start saving money. But my biggest problem was this. I felt like as a stay-at-home mom with 4 little kids that I had to have control over something because so much of my life I didn't have control over, right? It belonged to all the little people in my world. They ran my life. I did what they needed. And so having that little payday for myself each month. And at the time we had a rental business with my parents, and I made 10% every month of whatever I collected from rent. 10% was my pay. And so usually that was about $300 to $400 a month that I would make. And that doesn't seem like much now, but 28 years ago, it was a lot. And I would take that money, and this was the next step in us getting financially free, is I would take that money and I made it my decision. I had the power to decide what to do with it, and I committed to invest instead of going purse shopping. I committed, that was my choice. And when I reframed that as that was my choice, now I have to invest if I want to get ahead, but I was like, this is my payday. What do I want for my future? I'm going to choose to invest. It gave me the power over the money still, and it still gave me my thing I was doing. And I invested that separate from my family income because if I had bought a purse, it would have been mine, not mine and my husband's, right? And so that was my little bit of pay that kept me motivated to do my work. And I took that and made my investments with that. And so paying yourself is important, Valerie. Talk to me about paying yourself.
That means when you get paid, you devote the first amount of money to your savings, into your savings first. And I know that seems counterintuitive to a lot of people, and they'll go, well, I got to pay my bills first. No, you don't. You pay yourself first. For those people who think they can't afford to pay themselves, I have news. I have news and I have words for you. You can. Here's an example. I was working with a really darling girl from Mississippi last week, 24 years old, living on her own. And we did the financial needs analysis. She had 6 streaming devices that she was paying for. She was paying $150 a month for herself for her cell phone bill. She was doing Uber Eats. She was doing these things, and I know this seems basic to a lot of you, but she had no idea. I said, hey, Brittany, I'm going to find you money that you have no idea you even have. And she got so excited because we shaved off these expenses. I told her where else to go to pay for a cell phone. I showed her some things. People don't think of these things. Now, Coleen, you do, because you've got the aptitude for that and you've got the interest for that. But not everybody does. They really, really don't. And do not condemn yourself if you don't have that, because you can fix that. You can fix that. I was eating out a lot when the guy after school came to see me. There's just lots of things that can be done. The best tool I have available is to do a complementary financial needs analysis. And when you have someone telling you, oh, you got to get a 401k or you got to get a Roth IRA. Okay, maybe so. Let it not be the end all. Because when so Warren Buffett says this, he's the famous billionaire. He said there's 3 rules to building wealth. Rule number 1, always make money. Rule number 2, don't ever lose money. And rule number 3, don't forget rules 1 and 2. They are critical. They are key. So by doing the Roth IRA or the 401k, fine, have it be one bucket in your financial system. One. You need a couple of other buckets to back up that bucket in case that one goes south. Because guess what? Those Roth IRAs and those 401ks, not only do you pay Uncle Sam in taxes, you lose money. Sometimes, and you have no control over it, you lose money in the market. And guess what? They'll try to tell you that you're going to recover that money and get it back. That's a lie. It's a lie. You will not get it back. You'll have to wait for it to correct itself. But that whole time you're losing, guess what? Are you making any interest while you're losing? Yes or no? Are you making any?
No.
No, you're not. You're not earning interest while you're losing. So why would you choose something? Why would you choose your whole program to be, I hope I don't lose? Because if you are losing, you are not earning interest. So here's another main concept about interest that people don't think about. Albert Einstein, the famous scientist, said that interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it. So in our educational piece, we say paying interest over time is the enemy. Earning interest over time is the friend. And I also learned that 3 mortgages ago when we were still paying for a house. I learned that we paid $4,700 in interest during the first year. That was just interest, $4,700. I nearly had a cow. I mean, honestly, $4,700 in year 1 of that mortgage. Do you think that inspired me to get rid of that mortgage as hard and fast as I possibly could?
I'm glad you brought that up, Valerie. And I just want to say that one of the places that we started was paying things down. So we always did practice creative financing, which I'm happy to talk to people about at any point. But we've owned 32 properties and never gone to the bank. We did have one mortgage through Countrywide that was also creative financing, but we always practice creative financing, so not to go to a bank. And then we always paid things down. So when we had our rentals, for instance, when we had rentals in Florida, we took all the money that came in, paid me 10% off the top to manage them, to deal with the tenants, the tears, the everything that could possibly go wrong, all the legalities, everything with it. And then we took 10% into what we called an appliance fund. It was like if we need to replace the roof, a fridge, or something like that. Everything else, we would go make the payment on it, and then the rest of it we would pay towards the principal. Now, one time I made this silly mistake, and I literally cried for hours over it. I forgot on the check to write to apply to the principal. And do you know what they did? They made my next 3 payments with it, which were all interest.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that really bit. And so if anybody here is ever considering going and paying your mortgage off or paying your car off or paying something early, make sure that in the memo you write apply to principal only. Make sure you do that. I see Nicole has a question and Rhonda also does. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, thanks. See, I think I wrote it down. You know, you were talking about how, so I'm curious, Valerie, more on, like when someone works with you, what's the difference between someone working with you and saying, "Hey, I can take this and try to apply it myself." What are they actually doing? Are you just finding them some, "Hey, here's some free money that you already have. I can cut your bill." What's kind of like the long-term goal? Are you sharing with them investing, or are you just sharing where they're saving? How does that look?
All of the above. I do all of the above. It starts with a simple kitchen table conversation. I find out what they want to get out of life. I want to know what their goals and dreams are, whether it's reducing debt, whether it's paying for someone's college education, whether it's paying off a mortgage. I want to know those things because I want to be able to meet those needs. When they're telling me those things, they're putting some pain on the table, which is helpful to me so that I can diagnose which way to go on this thing. And I love the question you asked, Nicole, on why couldn't I just do this on my own, for example? Well, would you learn how to drive a car without some kind of instruction or without trying it out? Would you just get in the car and drive? No. You need some guidance. You need some information. You need some truth. You need technique. To do it cold turkey, and especially with your finances. Those are probably one of the top 3 most important things in your life. And to get another set of eyes on it and another set of ears on it and just some counseling is worth gold itself. It really, really is. And so to answer your question, every case is different. Every single case is different because everybody has a different life. Everybody has a different amount of money they already have saved in the bank or in some kind of an investment strategy. They have different incomes. They have different expenses. So each case is personally and exquisitely tailored to my client so that they do not double up on something they don't already need, and so that they don't miss something that they don't have. I go deep and I go thorough. And the financial needs analysis is cost free, it's judge free, and it's confidential. We don't
So
share.
is it like a one-time thing? So you go and so are you going and you're analyzing people's, hey, here's where you're at, here's where you want to be. Okay. But is it something that somebody does continuously with you, or is it like a one-time thing?
Great question. We do an annual visit every year. So as soon as they decide what it is they might like to do and they commit to it and they pay for it, that's strictly in their budget, we emphasize to stretch, don't stress. Make it a comfortable commitment. And so they're doing that each month and they're doing something. something. It's not all the same for everybody. And at the end of the year, when that policy renews and has its birthday, we meet with the client again and see if there's anything else they need to be doing, or do they want to change something. It's great, Nicole. I know your income, you're a businesswoman, and your income varies from month to month. And so our strategies allow for you to have flexibility on the amount you pay in each month. If you have a really good month and you came into a lot of money, you can put that in, you can increase, you can also decrease.
I love that. Okay,
So
Rhonda.
there's some wiggle room.
Hi there. This has been all really fascinating, and I'm being really, really vulnerable here. But I have a really unique situation in that 9 years ago, when I was 53, I sold everything I owned to travel the world and live a location independent lifestyle while working remotely. And it's still a life I'm loving and living. However, I'm 62 now. And Coleen, when you started mentioning how your children all chose to buy homes and stuff, it kind of got me thinking, because I'm not ready to find a home base yet. And I still don't know what that looks like. But obviously, at the age of 62, I'm starting to think about what life looks like, in my retirement years, even though I'm not even close to ready to retire. So I'm not quite sure what to focus on first. Like, do
So
I?
that is what, Rhonda, excuse me for just a minute. That is such an important question. And that is for that is we would do a financial needs analysis, because your situation is your situation, and it would take
Mhm.
probably 30 to 60 minutes to go through that with you and really dig in and find out what it is you want and need and what you can do. So I would invite you to schedule that with me, and you can do that on my calendar. And I put that link in the chat. So any of you who want to do that, remember it's free and we don't judge. I was in your situation. We've all been in situations. None of us is so special that we can say we've never been through some of this stuff. So by scheduling that and not procrastinating, because if you wait, then you wait, and then you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait some more. So that's how I can help.
Thank you.
It's so nice to meet you, Rhonda. Thank you for asking that beautiful question.
I think that you
Thank
guys
you.
definitely need to get together, and we're gonna get through the next couple questions and wrap it up, because I do have an 11 o'clock. Go ahead, Lynn. You're muted. Ha ha ha, you're muted. Finally, it's you, not me.
Now it's me doing that. I apologize. I just have a comment to make on something you said, Colleen. I think that your idea was great about paying ahead on your principal of your mortgage. And that's exactly what I did at one point. I made 2 payments every month, and the extra payment was supposed to go towards my principal. And when I went back the following month, I was told that they had not applied it towards my principal. And I questioned, I said, well, where's the money? It's been taken out of my account. Oh, we just have it sitting here. We didn't know what to do with it. And I said, now, wait a second. If I didn't make my payment to you originally, you would have found the phone number that you have on file for me. You would have called to say you didn't make your payment. But somehow you couldn't find that phone number when you got the extra payment with the note telling you to put it on my principal. You just couldn't find that for 30 days. So I said, I'm really disappointed in that. And I asked to speak to the manager, and they said they did not allow people to pay ahead on their principal, which I found garbage. I found it as garbage. So I got so angry. My husband and I discussed it. We went and had enough money to pay off that mortgage completely, paid the mortgage off completely, and still wanted to carry a mortgage, just went to another bank and never went back to that bank, closed all my accounts, and never did business with them again. And I think that that's, people need to take a stand. You don't have to follow the rules as they write them if they don't work for you. find a
Exactly.
bank that will work with you with the rules, that you like. So I
Exactly.
like that, Colleen. Very good.
And another thing to watch for in there is a prepayment penalty. I'll never sign anything with a prepayment penalty.
Correct.
Because that's that super fine. They call it fine writing. I call it like, I don't even think that's writing. They just put it at the bottom and not a soul in the world can read that. But it'll say that you're going to pay extra 10% or extra 2% if you prepay.
That's
No,
what you need that legal shield for, to read that
that's
stuff.
right. That's right. Kat, how about you? What's your question, my dear?
It's not a question, it's a statement. I have worked with Valorie and she is the best I have
Aw.
talked to. She answers all my questions. If I text her or call her, she will get back to me. And it was so exciting to find out that I could do this for each of my grandchildren too, so that by the time they're of age to go to college, they will have funding available. So that was very exciting for me.
Yeah, I
Thank
love
you,
that.
Kat. And it's not just for college, it's for starting a business, buying a new used car, down payment on a house. I think it is a really, really good alternative to a college 529 plan, which is just for college, and it loses money. But this one is for any expense and it does not lose money.
I love that. So everybody check, you know what? Go ahead, Val, and drop your information again at the bottom just so that it's on there, please. So it's easy for everybody to jump on your calendar with you. And then will you also share the PDF in here, please?
The invitation?
No, you had a PDF that had the checklist on it.
Oh,
You shared
Oh.
it with me.
okay. So I need your help, teacher. So I don't know how to
I can
put
do it.
that
I can
in.
do that part. If you share your link for them to book with you, I will grab the PDF.
Okay.
Let me go find
Here's
it.
my calendar, boys and girls. I'm still a teacher. I still say boys and girls.
That's okay. I think you're amazing and I really appreciate everything that you brought to the table. If anybody has any last quick questions, statements.
Mine is super quick. I have my money parked in a 529 that I did for my daughters back when I was teaching decades ago. How do I get it out without penalty? Is it possible?
It depends where you put it. That's a qualified plan, which is taxed. And it depends
Hmm.
on where you put it, but we should do a call together. Amy.
I already scheduled it, Miss Valerie. I think you're awesome.
I
Good
think she's
go.
4
Good
o'clock
job.
today.
So
Thank you for
speaking,
You won't
having
be
me. This
sorry,
is great.
Amy.
I want to say
I know, I can see that.
I want to say one thing about what you mentioned, and that is this. There are a lot of folks that are up in their later years now, and they're a little bit afraid of what their 401 or their IRA is doing. And they know that their policy or their plan cannot suffer another hit from the market. They can't. If it suffers another hit, they don't have enough years left in their life to recover. So what we're doing for a lot of people is you can take half of what you have in an IRA or a 401k and you can move it over into a fixed indexed annuity. And that puts it safe. It grows really good, strong interest. It provides income. It builds wealth, and it's not going to get yanked out by the stock market. So that's a really, really good, safe thing to do. A lot of baby boomers are doing that. And we do that for people too. So think of a hurricane. Think of a hurricane. And when you hear on the news or wherever that you need to brace for the hurricane, you need to prepare. You need to get your water. You need to get your provisions. You need to get everything you need for when the hurricane comes. Are you going to be one of those stubborn people that says, I've lived here all my life. I haven't had a hurricane yet. I'm not going to have one now. And then are you going to get hurricaned? Are you going to get blasted by a hurricane? The same thing holds true about preparing your wealth for the future. Is anybody going to do that for you? Unless you are a trust baby and you're going to inherit big time, which is rare, are you going to prepare for a financial hurricane or a financial situation? it's up to you.
Well, and I will say too that failure to get educated about your finances ultimately hurts you more than anybody else. And there's no reason, I mean, I think that one thing that we started with at the beginning of this is that people always think they can do it later, they can do it later. And really, it's only going to hurt you to not take control of it and take care of it now. And yeah,
The cost of waiting.
the cost of waiting is huge. It is huge. If you saw it in numbers, then you would be like, wow, I should never wait. And I will also say that the day that we paid off our mortgage was the most euphoric feeling. It was so much better than any day that we received any amount of money. But knowing that this farm was the last one we paid off, that this farm, that everything now is completely paid off. So also I would encourage everybody, once you pay something off, I don't care if it's your car, if it's your land, your farm, your home, don't take out a loan against it again. We never do that. Once it's paid for, it's paid for. It's not available. We don't even consider the fact that it's available to take out another mortgage against or another loan against for any reason. We will struggle. We will go without. We will walk and take the bus. Just kidding. There's no bus here. We'll take the buggy. Um, but we just won't take out another loan. Karen, you're muted. What were you saying? You're still muted.
I just have to pop off. So I just wanted to say thanks, Valerie. Thanks,
Thank you.
Colleen.
I
That
need to
was
pop
fabulous.
off.
Glad you
Awesome.
were here. I loved seeing all of you, and thank you for your contact information. I hope, Colleen, that you can save that for me because I didn't have enough time to write it all down. But I was thrilled to see you all.
I cannot save it. You need to just highlight it and save it yourself, or somebody tell her how to save it. I don't even know how to save
Well,
it.
maybe I can just
So
take
go
it.
to the chat and
Okay.
where it says, excuse me, Monday morning coffee chat. There's three dots just before the X. Hit those three dots and it'll say save chat. That chat will go into your downloads.
For you
Wonderful.
telling me this before, Nicole. Thank you. This is why we invite people like you.
See, we are all doctors of something. And thank you, Nicole, for that. And thank you, Colleen, for sharing your personal stories about your money. And
Thank you, everybody, for coming and learning. This has been great, Val.
it has been great. I loved it myself. And I hope you all have a wonderful week.
We'll see you next Monday.
And I'll
Thanks,
be in
guys.
touch. If you wanted me to get a hold of you, I will be in touch and I'll be
Colleen?
glad.
Who's
Yes.
your speaker next week?
Let me look. It is,
Gonna be
oh
me.
gosh, you're never gonna believe. Tis Allie.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one too.
Gonna be really good.
Yay.
All right. Thank you, guys.